What's going on, everybody? America Football Network here with another video today. And today we're bringing you our Nebraska Cornhuskers preview prediction video. But before we get started, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Help me hit that goal of 1,000 subscribers by the end of August. We are currently, I think, 58 away. We're sitting at about 942, I believe. So help us hit that. Also, check out our shop. It just launched a few weeks ago, getting close to about a month ago. So I appreciate all of the support from you guys at our shop. Getting all of our merchandise and all that stuff. So I appreciate that. You can find the link. I'll pin it. Or I'll put a card for it right here. And you can find the link in the description and on our channel homepage, as well as some products tagged to the bottom of this video. Now let's go ahead and jump in. So Nebraska last year went 4-8 overall, 3-6 in the Big Ten, a terrible season for them. And this year they get a new head coach in Matt Rule. They do return the quarterback, Casey Thompson, and he is one of 8 returning starters on offense, as well as 8 returning starters on defense. So they bring back some of their talent that they had. I do think this is a pretty talented team. I think that they just, I think they were very bad coached and developed. They get Billy Kemp the fourth in. I believe he transferred in at receiver. I don't think that's the same guy that was receiver for Virginia, who was very good. I don't think that's him. Never mind. But they do get the transfer at quarterback, Jeff Sims, who I'm very excited about. He's only a junior, so he's going to have 2 and I believe 3 years because of the COVID year. I believe he'll have 3 years to transfer from Georgia Tech with Matt Rule, and I think that he's one of the most talented guys in the country, but one of the most underdeveloped guys in the country as well. I think Georgia Tech did an awful job of developing him, but I think that he is going to be very good if he can get developed under Matt Rule. I think he's going to be solid in year one, along with Casey Thompson, who I think will be the starter. And then come year 2, I think Jeff Sims is going to be that guy for them. I think he'll get some good playing time this year as well, but I do think Casey Thompson is going to be the main guy. But let's go ahead and jump into their schedule for this season. So they start off the season year 1 at Minnesota. Keep in mind, Matt Rule teams in his first season with them don't generally do well. It's usually year 2 and 3 where they really turn it on. But I do think this is one of his better talented teams that he's taken over for sure year 1. And so the first game of the season under Matt Rule for Nebraska is at Minnesota. I do have this game as a win, though. I think Minnesota loses a lot. I don't like their talent around them. I do think P.J. Fleck may be a better head coach than Matt Rule, but I just think Nebraska has more talent. I think Matt Rule and Marcus Satterfield are going to have some good offensive schemes for this season, especially week 1. I think it's going to give Minnesota a little bit of trouble, and I think Nebraska can go there and get the win. Minnesota's just lost so much over the last few years of that team that was really good 3 years ago. They've just lost so much, and so it's going to be hard to replace that. They haven't really replaced any of it, to be honest, so that's going to be tough for Minnesota to hang with them. Then week 2, they go on the road to Colorado. I have this game as a loss. I don't think Colorado is going to be winning 8 games year 1 for Dion like everybody's saying. I don't think Colorado is going to be a very good team, but I think that they are going to be good enough to beat this Nebraska team. I think Nebraska is going to have a very up and down season for sure. I think going to Colorado is going to be difficult. That's the first big game that Colorado gets. They at home. It'll be the first home game for Deion Sanders. They go on the road to TCU week 1, but that second game is going to be the first home game for Deion, and so that's going to be a crazy atmosphere there. And I just think Colorado is going to be a little bit better. I do think it'll be a very close, hard-fought game for sure, though. Then they get NIU at home. This is a win. Not much discussion needed for this one. NIU they don't have the talent to compete with Nebraska. And the same thing in week 4 when they get Louisiana Tech. They don't have the talent to compete with a team like Nebraska. Nebraska is going to win this game very easily, much like the week before. And so we're looking at 3-1 starting the main section of conference play. All your out-of-conference games. I know you start with Minnesota, but then you play 3 out-of-conference games. Now all 3 of those have been played. It's conference the rest of the way. So let's get rolling. And you're looking at a 3-1 schedule going into that. That's pretty good. Next game, though, is Michigan at home. I have this game as a loss. I just think Michigan has too much, can attack you in many different ways, and I think that's going to be too much for I think that's just going to be too much for Nebraska to handle, especially this early on in Matt Rule's time. And I just think Michigan's is better than Nebraska in every aspect. They're better coached, better on offense, better on defense, better on special teams, just more mature and experienced in big games. I think Nebraska is going to have a hard time with this game. They lost last year at Michigan 34-3. So, I think this is a game that they're going to lose again by a similar margin. Then they go on the road to Illinois. I have this game as a loss. They lost Illinois last year 26-9. I think that it'll be closer this year for sure. But I still think Illinois gets the win. I think that it's them, Wisconsin, and Iowa in the Big Ten West. I think it's probably going to finish out Wisconsin, then Illinois, then Iowa. But we'll just have to see. I have Illinois right now going 8-4, 6-3 in the conference, and I have Iowa 8-4, 5-4 in the conference. So we'll just have to see what happens with that. But I do think that Illinois is just a better football team. They're more experienced than Nebraska is. They're not having to work through all this new stuff that Nebraska is either. And I just think they're just a little bit better overall. So a loss there for Nebraska. Then they get Northwestern at home. This is a win. Northwestern going to be the worst team in the Big Ten West by far. Now they lose Pat Fitzgerald as well. Northwestern went 1-11 last year. Funny enough, their one win was against Nebraska, 31-28 in week 1. Well, I guess technically week 0 in Dublin, Ireland. And that was really when you realize, shoot, Scott Frost is going to be gone for sure by the end of this year. But I don't see that happening again this year. I think Nebraska wins by 10-plus points, probably more than that. I don't see Northwestern being able to really put up a fight in that game again. Then they get Purdue at home, who may be the second worst team in the Big Ten West. And, I have this game as a win for Nebraska. I think that they can beat Purdue pretty easily. Purdue loses a lot. They bring in a new head coach, new system, all that. They lose the quarterback. They do bring in transfer Hudson Card, who I think will be pretty solid. But, they only return 6 starters on offense, 4 on defense. They bring in a transfer quarterback and a new head coach. So they're going to have a lot of stuff to work through. And I don't think they're a very talented team overall anyways. And so, I think that this is going to be a win for Nebraska, and I don't really think it'll be that close of a game. Then they go on the road to Michigan State. I have this game as a loss. I see these two teams as pretty even teams. I do think that with this game being at Michigan State, that's why I'm giving it to Michigan State. I think overall, though, these two teams, Nebraska and Michigan State, are pretty even. Then they get Maryland at home. I have this game as a win. Same situation here. I think Michigan State, Maryland, Nebraska, all kind of similar, especially when you factor in how Maryland plays at the end of seasons. And so I decided to just give them a split right there, just based on home field advantage. I think that they split those two games. And I think that they're all pretty even teams, pretty even matchups. Then they go on the road to Wisconsin. I have this game as a loss. Wisconsin just has too much talent. They're going to be extremely outcoached by Luke Fickell and his staff. And going to Camp Randall, that's going to be an insanely tough place to play. And this is a Wisconsin team that only won this game by 1 point last year. Nebraska had the ball late in the game with a chance to win it. They just couldn't do it. And so, I think this is going to be another loss for them. For Nebraska, except this time I don't think it'll be by 1 point. I think it'll be by a lot more than that, touchdown or 2 in that game. Then they get Iowa at home to close out the season. They won at Iowa 24-17 last year, and I think that they will again this year. They'll beat them again at home. Iowa just has 0 offense, and I think Nebraska's offense is going to be good enough to score on that Iowa defense, at least put up 20 on them, and that should be enough to win it. So that wraps up Nebraska's schedule. I have them going 7-5 overall, 5-4, and finishing probably fourth in the bit. Well, actually, if I have them at 5-4, that would have them finishing third in the Big Ten West because they would be tied with Iowa, but they hold the tiebreaker obviously with the win. So third in the Big Ten West for Nebraska this year. I like it. I think that's a good season for them. I think things are looking up out there in Nebraska. Shout out to my buddy Dave. I met him down in Haiti. Shout out to him. He's a big Nebraska fan. Hopefully, Nebraska can have a pretty solid season and not disappoint him this year. But that wraps up today's video. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Comment those thoughts and opinions down below. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope to see all of you guys next time.